Some unseen, vile things plan against you at night while you sleep soundly in your bed. Whether it's a man with an axe in the dead of the night, or unexplainable evil trying to overpower you, these horrifying personal experiences will make your blood run cold.
I know what you've been doing.
Stay connected if you want to know about a young lady who is screaming. There's blood everywhere, outside a house at late hours. Moreover, smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more horrifying stories that will make your heart beat faster. Things are about to turn dark. I, Timothy Bauer, remember my grandmother having nightmares. Not once, twice, or thrice, but those nightmares started one day and never left her side. Every time she slept, she would wake up screaming. The interesting thing here is that those dreams were always the same. Grandma told me in the nightmares she saw herself walking down a long, dark hallway. The length of the passage always gave her the creeps. The silent and sinister hallway was full of mysteries. After reaching the end of the passage, she would take a left and then open the door to a room. Next thing, she would wake up screaming and breathing heavily as if she had just run a 1,000-mile race. She never saw or remembered what was in the room that terrified her, but she knew this much: the scene was enough to make her limbs tremble. One summer, my dad, grandfather, grandmother, and my aunt decided to go on vacation. However, most of the hotels were fully booked at that time of year. The only hotel with suitable facilities and arrangements provided them with 2 bedrooms, with 2 twin beds on opposite sides of the floor. My grandmother was just 40 at the time. She did not know then that she'd soon experience her nightmare in real life. On one of the nights of vacation, my father suddenly woke at 3 a.m. with a weird, unsettling feeling. He called out to his father, or you can say my grandfather. There was no reply. My father called again, but the figure on the next bed did not stir. My father could feel his heart thump heavily as he rushed towards my grandfather and shook him, but he didn't wake up. My father ran down the hotel hallway at full pace in the middle of the night. He woke my grandmother and shouted, "Something's wrong with Dad." Both of them ran towards the room where my grandfather lay. The path was long. My grandmother found herself walking down a lengthy passageway, and something clicked in her mind. Her heart trembled, but she kept moving down the long hallway, and then took a left at the end to open the hotel room door. The first sight was my grandfather lying in an awkward position, and she knew that he was dead. Her worst nightmare had turned into reality. After that, the nightmares never came again. My cousin, uncle, and I visited our cabin in the woods every summer. For me, as a 12-year-old boy named Oliver, that was the perfect time of year. The cabin was situated a little away from the hustle and bustle of the central city, but not too deep into the forest. My cousin and I spent whole days roaming around the forest. However, one day things turned nasty, and my uncle had no choice but to sell that perfect cabin away. It all started the day my uncle fussed over his lost axe. He had been cutting wood the previous day, and had kept the axe in its place, but it was nowhere to be found. He blamed my cousin and me for tampering with it, and seriously, that was also something we would have done. However, even after searching for it everywhere, the axe was nowhere to be found. As my cousin and I slept peacefully that night, my uncle came hurriedly toward us and shook us awake. It was 4 in the morning, and we had no idea what was happening. We were told that we immediately had to go fishing. Although we argued, nevertheless, we got ready and started off towards our fishing boat on the shore. As we sat in the boat, my cousin and I under a blanket, things got fishier. One close look at my uncle's face made me realize that he was definitely spooked by something. He quickly rowed away, with a flashlight casually sweeping over our cabin occasionally. His darting eyes betrayed his calm demeanor. My uncle took us to his friend's cabin and asked us to sleep in the loft. Later, my uncle and his friend locked the doors and approached our cabin. Within a few hours, my uncle had packed everything and returned with a truck, telling us it was time to go home. We thought that leaving the cabin and woods days early was weird, but we did not argue. Years later, my uncle told me his chilling secret. He told me that night at 3 a.m., he heard strange voices outside our cabin. When he went out to check who was making the continuous thuck, 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 a tree fell right in front of him on the porch. My uncle could only glimpse a man with an axe going into the forest. The incident was reported to the police, but the man and the axe were never found. If you are enjoying these spine-tingling stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who loves a good scare. One day, my professor lectured us about being kind and spreading happiness. I, Jet Watts, was just half listening, but then he started to narrate a story that made me double over in concentration. My professor told us that he had met a girl sitting all by herself in the university cafeteria when he decided to give her some company. When he approached the girl, she seemed surprised, and the professor told her that it had become part of his life to meet unknown people, spend time with those sitting alone, and spread happiness. The girl told him it wasn't the first time someone had approached her. She used to sit all by herself in college because she wasn't very popular. She would spend her breaks in the library, but one day, a group of girls approached her and asked her to spend time with them. The girl happily agreed, and they all got in a car to go to a restaurant. Just as they were turning around the corner, dozens of police cars went past them towards the college. There had been a fire in the library area, and dozens had died. If the girl hadn't been invited, she would have also been one of the dead. One night at 10 p.m., an old lady stumbled on our porch, screaming hysterically that there was blood everywhere. My mother and I were surprised. I, Alara Johns, got up and let the lady in. She looked normal and was dressed in simple clothes. She had seen an accident and was talking about it. I could not precisely decipher what she was talking about. Anyway, we called the police and they arrived within an hour. The cops took her away and told us that she was a crazy old lady who lived 2 streets away. The police and the woman went away in the police car. As if this wasn't enough for the night, another police car knocked at our door an hour later, asking what was wrong. We told them about 2 police officers who had come earlier, but they had no idea about them. They had not sent anyone before. They had just received our call 30 minutes ago. Those 2 policemen who arrived earlier were not from the police department. That mystery remains unsolved, and whenever I think about the old lady now, it still gives me the creeps. When I was a 7-year-old boy named Williams, I used to have nightmares. They were so bad that I would just lie, screaming until my mother came to rock me back to sleep. It started when I talked to my Cookie Monster plush at night, and he would talk back to me. In the mornings, my mother would find the plush under my bed, having no idea how it got there. But then, she found out in the worst possible ways. One night, she heard me talking. When she came to check on me, she found me talking not to my plush, but to 2 men dressed in black. On hearing her approach, the 2 men fled out the window and were never seen again. My mother was genuinely terrified and called the police, but no one knows till now as to who these men were and why they came every night to torture me. These disturbing stories have given those people bad memories to dwell on. Whether you believe in the supernatural or think it's all just stories, these chilling accounts remind us how fragile the line is between the ordinary and the unknown. Take care, and don't look under the bed.